All right, welcome. Today, we're going to pop the hood on our own bodies and really dig into a topic that, let's be honest, is everywhere right now: fasting. But we're going to push past all the hype and look at what the actual science says is happening inside us, on a biological level, when we decide to skip a meal. So, let's get right into it.
So, what really kicks off that chain reaction inside of you when you fast? It's so much more than just your stomach rumbling. It's this profound biological shift that happens. We're going to break down that whole journey, step by step, from your last bite of food all the way to the deep cellular changes that can follow.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the body's engine room, our metabolism. Fasting basically acts like this giant master switch, telling our body to completely change how it creates energy. But before we can really get what that switch does, we got to understand how the engine normally runs, right?
To put it simply, your metabolism is just the sum of all the crazy chemical reactions happening inside you that keep you alive. It's how you turn that sandwich you had for lunch into the energy you need to walk, talk, and even just think. It's your own personal power plant, and believe me, this thing is incredibly smart and adaptable.
So here's the crucial sequence of events. Right after you eat, your body is running on the easy stuff, glucose. Think of it like cash in your wallet, super easy to get to. Once that's gone, it dips into its short-term savings. That's the glycogen stored in your liver and muscles. It's only when that starts to run low that the real metabolic switch gets flipped. Your body basically goes to the bank and starts tapping into its long-term energy reserves, your stored body fat. And that switch, right there, is the magic behind so many of fasting's effects. Now, when you flip that metabolic switch, it creates these huge ripple effects. And two of the biggest players that feel it are your blood sugar and the hormone that manages it all, insulin. Let's take a look at how they're connected.
Okay, so here's one of the biggest takeaways from the research. Fasting isn't just about having less sugar floating around in your blood, it's about your body getting smarter and more efficient at handling the sugar when it is there. This whole idea has a name. It's called insulin sensitivity, and it's a really big deal. Think of insulin like the key that unlocks your cells to let sugar or glucose inside for energy. So on the left, when you're insulin sensitive, that lock works perfectly. A little bit of insulin, click, the door opens. But over on the right with insulin resistance, that lock gets all rusty and jammed. The body has to send way more keys, more and more insulin, just to try and force that door open. Fasting basically gives that lock a chance to rest and get repaired, making it more sensitive again.
And this isn't just a nice idea, right? This is stuff scientists can actually measure in the blood. They see real, tangible results: lower baseline sugar, lower baseline insulin levels, and better long-term blood sugar control. That's what that last one, HbA1c, tells us. It's kind of like looking at the average of your blood sugar over a few months. These are all signs of a system that's working much more efficiently.
All right, so the body has officially made the switch. We're off sugar, we're on to fat. But what does that do to all the fats or lipids that are already swimming around in your bloodstream? Well, this is where we see another whole set of really interesting changes.
And this isn't just about shrinking fat cells for weight loss. When your body starts breaking down that fat for fuel, a process we call ketosis, it literally changes the whole chemical makeup of your blood. It's like your body is switching from a clunky, gas-guzzling engine to a much cleaner, more efficient one.
And check this out. Here's what the blood work typically shows in a lot of these studies. You see this trend towards lower total cholesterol, lower LDL, that's the one people call the bad cholesterol, and a really significant drop in triglycerides, which are just fats floating around in your blood. At the same time, HDL, the good cholesterol, tends to stay put or even get a little boost. Generally speaking, that's a much better picture for your heart health.
Okay, so we've talked fuel, we've talked fats. But there's another really cool piece of this puzzle: inflammation. We know that this chronic, low-grade inflammation is linked to all sorts of modern health problems, and it looks like fasting might just have a calming effect on it. This is a huge deal. Think of systemic inflammation like a tiny, low-level fire that's just smoldering throughout your body all the time. And oxidative stress, that's kind of like your cells getting rusty. What the research suggests is that fasting acts like, like a built-in sprinkler system, and at the same time, it's like rust-proofing your cells from the inside out. Pretty cool, huh? And again, this isn't just some abstract idea. Scientists can actually measure this stuff. They look for these biomarkers in your blood with fancy names like C-reactive protein or CRP. But all you really need to know is that when these numbers go down, it's a really good sign that the body is calming down and there's less of that cellular damage going on.
Okay, let's hit the pause button for a second, because this is really, really important. We have to approach this with a totally balanced view. While all these potential benefits sound amazing, fasting is a powerful intervention, and it is absolutely not safe or right for everyone.
Let's be super clear here. Fasting is a stress on your body. Now, for a healthy person, it can be what's called a hormetic stress. A good kind of stress that actually makes you stronger and more resilient. But, and this is a big but, for some people, or if it's done improperly, it can push the system way too far.
And this is why this is so critical. There are real risks. I mean, dangerously low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, that's no joke, especially for people on certain medications. Dehydration is another big one to watch out for. And for certain groups of people, if you have diabetes or a thyroid condition, or if you're pregnant, fasting can be downright dangerous without very close medical supervision. This is exactly why you have to talk with your doctor before you even think about making any big changes like this.
So what's the big idea here? After going through all this, we're left with this one really mind-bending question. For decades, right, the whole conversation has been about calories and nutrients, the what we eat. But all this science is starting to suggest that the timing, the when we eat, might be an equally powerful lever for our health that we're only just beginning to wrap our heads around. It's a fascinating shift in perspective to think about.